Hi, this is Keith with How to Build Your Own Home, and I've had a lot of subscribers mention that they want to see more walkthroughs, things I'm looking for, things I'm spotting. So I figured I'd do another walkthrough. This here is a job, a very, very fun job. I'm having a lot of enjoyment with this. The clients are wonderful. They're thankful, and they're incredible communicators. So you guys are awesome. You know who you are. This is Keith at a job site, and I want to do a walkthrough. This here's a garage. Now, because the garage is completely detached from the home and we only have a breezeway, we're actually going to build the garage with 2x4 instead of 2x6 and save on the additional lumber, because we're really not insulating for a conditioned space to live in. It's just for the garage. We will insulate the garage, but why do a 2x6 on a garage? So we're going to save a little money on that. If you notice in here, my electrician's electric company asked for another grounding rod, which is this copper wire right here. And they wanted it 50 feet down into the trench. Well, we didn't get it in the trench. It was buried because I didn't know that's what they wanted. So I asked, can we put it in the foundation and wrap it around the rebar? And they said, sure. So if you come over here, you'll see that we've got a U for ground and an additional grounding rod right here, which will come up inside the box, the panel, the meter panel right here. So I wanted to make sure that was it. Took some pictures, sent it to him. He replied back, yeah, good to go. So communication. So I wanted to make sure that that was installed just fine. We're going to do some spot footings here, but one thing I noticed is that you're going to have some dead space in your home like this. Now, a lot of times in production builds, and I've mentioned this on previous posts, is they kind of sheet over this without getting some insulation in here. So now I know that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, about 6 on this wall, 4 on that wall, 3 on that wall. So I'm going to get a bag of insulation. I'm going to pack it in there before they sheet over. That way we get some insulation in here. Walkthroughs are important. The more you're here, the more you see. And construction management is a lot like waiting on tables or being a bartender, because a bad waiter or an ineffective waiter will come out into the dining room, do one thing, okay, and then return back to the kitchen and do one thing. They won't do a circle. Well, if you remember John Stockton of the Utah Jazz, a long time, he's a phenomenal point forward.
Looks for Stockton, he's got him on a run. Stock to the middle. Stockton penetrates left side of the mailman, fumbles it, grabs it, scores. Carl Malone from John Stockton.
Well, when he would bounce the ball and he'd head down to the opponent's basket, his head was up. And he was constantly surveying the field, constantly looking around to where he can hand off to somebody, which is why he has the highest assist record in the NBA to this day. Because he was constantly assisting, he had his head up and he was looking around. And the best way to do that, if you look at a good waiter, they're making circles in the restaurant. They've got their head up and they're constantly looking at their guests. And they can see, I can hit that, I can hit that, I can hit that, I can solve for that. And you can do that circle, a constant circle. Construction management is very much the same way. When you come on a job site, you just don't say, oh, they got a couple walls up and walk down. No, you walk through the site and you look at stuff and you ask questions. If you're not certain of what something is, then you ask. Like, I know there's going to be a beam over there. I'm waiting for him to get that installed. I know it's going to be heavy. He wants me to get my forks in here to lift it up when he's ready, and they're going to be ready for that later this afternoon. Timing, scheduling, sequencing. Okay, like this afternoon, we know that some strong walls are coming this afternoon. Al's worried about it because he can't lift it. His small crew here is going to be too heavy. So I'm going to have to be here around 3 or 4 o'clock. That's about when they're here. So I texted him, hey, when they get here, let me know. I'll come help you with the forks I've got, and we'll lift that strong wall up and get it in pieces. And so I know that's on his mind. I know what he's worried about. Knowing what your subcontractor is worried about, his concern is your concern. Make it your concern. So be here and be accessible. Again, walking the site, you'll notice that a lot of times they'll have a green plate for doors. We got a green plate, green plate. I don't like to cut those out until when we're done with framing, because they help lock in the framing. I've seen a lot of people, they just, well, that's a door there, we need to cut it out. No, just leave it there. Leave it there for now until they get it all framed in and everything's square and plumb and the trusses are on and all the sheeting's done. When that's done, go ahead and you can cut those out down after that. But it helps to lock things in. Sometimes I think people jump the gun on things and think, oh, we'll get it out of the way. You don't have to right now. If it doesn't have to be done right now, it doesn't have to be done. If it's holding something else up, then you want to get that done. So that's key. We're thinking about a possible pocket door here, which I need to talk with my framer on. I went to the door manufacturer today. I'm talking with the designer. There could be a possible pocket door here, which means I have to change this wall. I haven't said that because I don't know yet. It's something they're wrestling with right now, so I got to make a decision, and I got to get a firm answer later on today, especially with my designer. Walking through, we don't have the base of the windows done. We'll get those done later. We do have our J-bolts. Now our concrete's cured, so I told him that he can go ahead and tighten down on these. If you're framing your house within 2 or 3 days after the concrete, I always tell them don't tighten down on those just yet. The concrete's not completely cured. But he asked me this morning, can we tighten down on those? Yeah, go ahead, tighten down on everything, you're good to go. So we've been more than 7 days, so we're really, really good there. Again, just walk through and look at stuff. If something worries you or if you're not quite certain, I like to see this here on my plumbing. At least I got a good coverage here. We're gonna have to put a metal plate on the other side there to keep drywallers from reaching that piping there. But so far it looks okay. I want to make sure we get some coverage there. There's no way to put some wood there because I'm right up against the chalk line on the other side there. So I'm kind of worried about that, to make that work. We do have a plumbing issue here. We're going to have to dirty arm this over. The plumber's going to have to cut that and dirty arm over here so we can get some drainage. And then possibly take another stud, some plating all the way down here to get that coverage, because I know a drywaller is going to shoot. He's going to want to shoot into that. So I'm kind of worried about this whole section there. I might just get a piece of wood, some OSB down in there and shore it up. So that's something I'm looking at. Again, if you don't walk through it, you won't see stuff that can be a little bit bothersome, worrisome. Got a pipe here. Want to make sure that's inside. Want to get a clip right there. This is a hose bib for outside. And you take your time, you know, and enjoy yourself. This is something that you're not going to see again. It's going to get closed up pretty quick, and you can start to think about something. Again, I got these big, huge doors coming in. They're here. They're at the warehouse. My subcontractor that I purchased the windows from, they're doing the install on that. And I decided to wait until the very, very last, after my mechanical, electrical and plumbing, to put those in, because they have a threshold in there and they get sawdust and they get them dirty and all kinds of mud and guck, and I don't want to get those tracks all messed up, so I'm going to put those in last. So that's reminding me that I need to get that scheduled. So one last thing, I talked with my plumber this morning, and we were trying to schedule on trusses when they will be here. Well, I want the truss manufacturer to actually be here and measure one more time. And what they're going to do is they're going to come all the way over here, and they'll measure from wall to wall, because the truss is going to actually land on this wall right up here. And so sometimes they go off the chalk line, but I didn't have that wall chalk line because that's a 2x8 wall. This is a 2x6 wall, so that changes my truss configuration by those few inches. So I want them to come back and measure because that wasn't chalk lined. Plus, I want them to measure from the framed wall where we are, and I want them to measure from the wall height. Now, I had some communications with the truss plant. I called them. I actually drove there and visited with them to look at the three-dimensional view of how this truss plan is going to lay out. And we've got some real complication right here. We got 3 different wall height changes. And when you're dealing with multiple wall height changes, you really need to have increased communication to make sure this wall is the right height, this wall here is going to be the wall height, and this wall here, which we will have a beam go across here, I want to make sure this wall height is the same. You can see up there we've got 1, 2 different wall heights, plus we have a beam going across here, and I know that the bottom of the beam needs to measure 12 feet 1 inch and 5/8. That's what they told me. So we are going to make sure that from the foundation to the bottom of our beam, which is a 16-inch beam, a glulam beam, the bottom of that has to measure that exact measurement in order for that truss to sit perfectly on that beam. So getting them here and increasing that communication with your truss plant, especially when you have some complexities like that, when you've got like this wall here, it's going to be much higher than this wall here because we're of course capturing some view. So I'm really dancing with that right now to make sure that we've got that all squared away. So I told the truss plant, don't manufacture the trusses until you get here to measure one more time. I just want to be safe. Again, these are just some walkthroughs. I'll do more of these to kind of help you out what I go through, what I'm thinking about, how I'm scheduling, sequencing, things I spot and things I don't spot, and oh, I wish I could have spotted that, and corrections and fixes and ideas we can come up with. Again, I'll do more of these. These are fun. I love doing these walkthroughs. This is Keith Couch with How to Build Your Own Home.